Before you start painting, do this first. I always test out my reds before diving into a subject like tomatoes, because even subtle shifts can completely change the mood and realism on your piece. In this segment, I'm going to show you how I swatch out different reds to find the perfect balance of warmth and depth before painting the final piece. I know you are going to be super eager to get on with the demos and to practice everything that you've learnt. However, I do think there is one last skill that I want to just push, and that is colour mixing. Although I'm going to be using my professional watercolours, I want to show you what can be achieved using a student grade set like this Cotman. So I keep scraps of paper just for this purpose. That's why that one's got cobalt blue written on it. It looks like all tomatoes are red, and you'll want to go straight for something like the cadmium red, which is fine. Yeah, let's swatch that out. Could do with a little bit more pigment. That's pretty close. However, because we want to play with dimensionality, especially in shadows, the form shadow of the tomato, I just added a little bit of the alizarin crimson, and that's getting better. But how about if I were to add a bit more, so that we are now playing with like a cream consistency? That was probably tea, and that is going to help you. I don't want to get too involved with colour theory, but I just want you to play. I'm going for the burnt sienna, and I'm adding that to that mix that I just created, and that's bringing in a bit more warmth. But how about, this is just me just playing around, and this is that curious approach that I want you to adopt. I've just added a little bit of the ultramarine, and you get this sort of red. And if we go back and add some more alizarin to that, let's see how that changes up. There are subtle differences. Now, going back again, how about if we added a little bit of cadmium orange to that red? How does that look? Yeah, that's too orange. Go back, because this tomato also has highlights. And if you were to, let's say, have that, and then you dropped in just the cadmium red, this is the type of mix you are going to get. And this is the type of curious experimentation that I want you to have as you create the fruit from the projects. Just pop those shadows in. Remember that light is coming from over there, so it's casting these shadows in maybe like a 7 o'clock position. Now I'm enjoying using my number 2 brush for creating these shadows. Perfect size for shadows. Some perylene green, or you can use like an indigo, and just drop that here, there. And this darker pigment is only spreading where, unless you deliberately make a mark. I'm just going to show you, hold on, I'll show you, pretend this one's got a stalk. Unless you deliberately make a mark, this new darker green is just going to stay where you put the original green down. In the meantime, this has dried, which means that we are now able to use the wet on dry technique. So I'm loading up my brush with olive green and a bit of perylene green, and we can fill in the darkest areas. So before, what you saw was where I was putting wet into wet, and you can see the difference already. There's our tomatoes, and this is a version of them using all different types of techniques, wet on dry, wet on wet, and we left an area unpainted for the highlights. And also we use slightly different strengths of pigment, from cream to coffee and tea. I'm really pleased with how that turned out. If you'd like to see the full lesson, it's part of my new course called Watercolour Made Simple, a beginner's guide with fruit and vegetables. The class includes modules on pigment and water ratio, how to stop muddy colours, and colour theory. I've explained all of this in really practical, easy to follow steps. You'll find the details in the description below, and right now there's a launch offer.